Hey there, this is Caprise, and welcome back to the Transistor Show. We've been gone for a little while, but we're back. My name is Caprise, and I'm sitting here with my co-host, Frony, and we have a very special show for you. We are sitting here with a group known as the Fiendish Phantoms, and I am just going to let them introduce themselves. And not only are they a band, but our friend Oliver also hosts a TV show here at the station, so we're going to talk about that as well. So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'll go first, I guess. I am Oliver the Caretaker Collins. I'm guitarist of the Fiendish Phantoms and the TV show on K-Sun, Spine Chilling Cinema.
Oh, I suppose I should go. I am Beefy the Butcher. I'm the drummer for the Fiendish Phantoms. Hello.
Dominus Morte. I am lead vocals.
My name is Deacon Ibel. I play bass guitar.
And our third co-host is my stomach growling, so just nobody get distracted by that. I'm just gonna.
Is Tim Allen stuck in there?
Might be. So we're just gonna jump right into it because you guys are definitely not the typical band that we have on. It's pretty obvious, and I think that's fantastic. So, how did this happen? Tell us. Backstory.
Well, the backstory is a very long one, but basically, we all met in Sun Prairie.
Mm-hmm.
But many, many years ago, before we were a band, I was a caretaker of a graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed a little help because of an accident with another person.
Mm-hmm.
So I got some legal advice from Deacon Ibel over there, and I kind of owed him a favor, and I helped him with, this was a long time ago.
Okay.
Can't do this now. I supplied him with specimens for science. And that's how that came about.
How many years are we talking here?
Hundreds.
Okay, all right.
And also, he might know more about the years. I've been hitting the shovel a few times. And then another way we had to make money is we have Beefy the Butcher, and I'm not going to go into too much into that. You can kind of figure it out. So, yes, and then we had another member of the band, which his name was Night Stalker, and he was a Night Stalker, and that's also another thing that use your imagination, how he kind of fit into the band. So that's kind of how it started, and then we decided, we need to make some extra money. We need another thing to do, and we decided to take up music.
Okay.
Yes, the times change rather drastically, so we have to do something. It gets more difficult with technology. Anyway, but yes.
So you guys have a new singer, but he's not new to this world. He also has been around for hundreds of years. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what is the backstory of your new member, the Count?
Well, I was farming goats in old country, and then beaten by vampire, and then tragedy struck literally through my heart, and then dead, until I awoken 300 years later by this gentleman who courageously pulled the stake out of my heart, and here I am today, keeping up with the times and learning new customs.
So that's got to be a difficult thing in 2018, being a vampire. So what trials and tribulations, I guess, have you gone through trying to make your way through this new world?
Bathing has been the newest adventure. Soap. Now that they put the little the rope on the soap, so I don't drop it anymore. So that has been the newest thing. Conditioner. Something that is not soap, but also important in the showering aspect. So that has been the biggest challenge lately.
And that's how we found out that he could sing. We heard him in the shower.
Oh, okay.
In the shower, we heard something. We thought, is that an angel?
He does spend an immense amount of time in there.
The acoustics are amazing, amazing.
But sometimes he's in there too long, and none of us can take a shower then.
It's okay. Hot water heaters are new to him.
I
It's like-
never knew water could get warm.
I mean,
It's wonderful.
with a campfire.
What is fire?
That's our new singer.
So how do you all help him acclimate into this new time and all the changes? What roles do you all play in that?
I've definitely assisted in helping him discover TV. Helps with the
Unfortunately,
weekly blood
though.
drawings,
Unfortunately,
which is also normal for everyone, correct?
Yeah.
Sure.
we're thinking about blocking a few shows from him though, because he really likes a certain show, don't you?
I do. So I have recently discovered there have been many famous vampires throughout time. So I have been, Nosferatu, Dracula, and there's various versions, but they don't seem very real to me. Twilight, on the other hand, very authentic. Like, wow, they got it right on the nose. That's honestly the only thing I watch all day is just Twilight. All of them, really. But yeah, it's been fun.
I fell asleep and left on basic cable. It's really my fault.
Why?
How did the rest of you guys pick up your instruments along the way, or what brought you guys to to do the guitar, bass, and drums?
Yeah, really just a pastime. Really keep the mind flexible. So picked up the bass guitar, and kind of as music evolved, it became more prominent. And as the
Absolutely.
bass guitar became more prominent, I took a liking.
Sticking with you, the Deacon, what are some of your favorite? Who are some of your favorite bassists? Maybe from the last 40, 50 years,
Oh.
just to
Fair enough, narrows it down.
yeah.
Thank you. No, I'm a fan of unconventional styling. So the stylings of, say, like Les Claypool.
Awesome.
I also am a fan of the heavy metal genre, so Steve Harris of Iron Maiden.
Okay.
Excellent bassist for the driving rhythms. Those two are mainly standout.
Oh, absolutely. Both legends. Beefy the Butcher. Is there any drummers that influenced you over the last, we'll say, 4 or 5 decades?
Ramones, probably.
Ramones. Okay.
Definitely one of my main inspirations.
Okay.
I wouldn't say maybe not necessarily a person, but like a genre. I love heavy metal. I absolutely love heavy metal. I try and incorporate that every now and then into most of our songs. I've gotten a little better at it. Like I don't use triggers because that's just a no-no.
And Oliver, so you're the guitarist.
Yep.
Some of your favorite guitarists, or what brought you to pick up the instrument in the first place?
Long time ago, I picked up an acoustic guitar, and the action was probably about this high. And at the time, I really was into George Thorogood and the slide, just the sound of it. And all I would do is just fret it, and then and I thought that was awesome. That was my first attempt at guitar. Then I took it up even more later on. But influences and some of my favorite guitarists would be George Thorogood. Another guitarist would be from the metal band Savatage, Chris Oliva. Unfortunately, he died at a real young age. I think he might have been one of the best if he survived. And then kind of like the power metal, Man of War. I remember watching your show earlier, and there was a member, I forgot what band they were, and he liked Man of War, so he was my favorite right away on the show. But Man of War, Black Sabbath, obviously,
Absolutely.
I'm kind of goth metal, doom, kind of typo negative, Candlemass kind of type of stuff. So, I guess you could say that.
So Count, then for you, I know this is kind of new, but if there were some singers that you feel you kind of a connection with, who would you say?
Yeah, I'm gonna go out of character for a little bit for this one.
You're totally fine.
That accent's hard to do after a while. So,
Woo!
My favorite genre is like punk. I do a lot of punk stuff. Horror punk is
Okay.
kind of my favorite genre. Blitzkid is kind of like one band that I really attach to, kind of like where it's a bit faster, but the vocals are very focused and harmonizing and everything. So vocally, I would go like Argyle Goolsby, like a lot of the Blitzkid stuff. I'm a big AFI fan as well. So
That's my favorite band.
yeah, so
That's my favorite band.
I take a lot of influence from kind of everywhere, is mostly. But like those are my favorite bands that I emulate the most. So
Okay.
yeah.
So if you guys, and I feel like this is always a loaded question when I ask bands this. It's hard. And even as someone who likes music, and for you guys too, I'm sure, when someone asks you, okay, who's your favorite band? What's your favorite genre? When you like music and you're real passionate about it, it's hard when you feel like you're kind of in a corner a little bit because you don't want to be put in a box. But if someone was to go to your show and I had to say, this is the kind of music you guys play, what would you guys say?
I'd probably say like horror rock,
Horror rock, okay.
because
Yeah.
I mean, there's horror punk too, but I like horror punk, but it's more obviously punk. Where I think rock covers a really big spectrum, because we'll have songs that have a lot of distortion, we'll have songs with no distortion, a lot of reverb. I remember we had our first album actually reviewed from a guy in Canada. I think he runs, it's called Dead House. And he did a review of us, and he said that we're not for everybody, but if you want to see what you can do in the horror punk, horror rock genre and push the limits, this is the band for you. So horror rock is
Horror rock,
probably
okay.
I think that's the best way to kind of like collectively and everything, because when I was listening to the first album, they kind of ran the whole gamut basically with like rockabilly. You guys definitely had some like death rock elements, at least for me when I noticed it and everything. So yeah, I think horror rock is like the best way to kind of. But it's kind of all over the place, I guess, a little bit
Spot
too.
on.
Yeah.
Kind of like us, we're all over the place.
It's always a good thing, though.
Yeah.
I think it's better to be eclectic than be in a box.
Right.
So if people wanted to find you guys, throw out how they can get at you, social media and that kind of thing.
Facebook, obviously. We tried to have it be facebook.com/the Fiendish Phantoms. Back in the day, that was too many letters.
Okay.
So it's the Fiendish Ones
The Fiendish Ones.
for
Okay.
Facebook. For Twitter, it's Fiendish Phantoms, but Phantoms doesn't have the O.
Okay.
Long letters, I don't know. They don't like long words. And then we're also on like Reverb Nation, Fiendish Phantoms, Bandcamp, and then Dominus has us on Instagram as well.
Perfect.
We do Twitter.
Yeah.
So, and I'll link all that to the Transistor Show's page as well, guys. So if you want to know how to get at them, as I always do, it'll be on the page. Playing out. When's the next time you guys are playing out?
February 8th,
Talk
2019.
about that.
And
It's a big deal.
it's a big deal because it's going to be our first show with our new vocalist, Dominus.
That's right.
And it's also going to be the first show, one of the first shows, I should say, at a new club that's going to be in Madison called The Crucible, which is still being built right now from the inside. The outside's already down. And it's going to be in the vein of the Inferno. That's the type of kind of club it's going to be. So
That was one of my absolute favorite venues.
Same.
So, for character development, because obviously there's a lot more going on than just you guys being a band and playing music. There's a lot more that goes into it. How did you develop each character, and also adding a new character in? I imagine there was a bit of a process there of getting him involved and finding out exactly what his role would be, not just as a singer, but also in fitting in with the whole theme and everything with you guys.
A lot of the character development is individual. So, like the music, we don't like anything to be put into a box. So, it becomes a personal expression. So, for me, a song was already written about a scientist of the exploratory kind. I took to it. Made the role. I believe your role, you already had an idea for how you wanted to appear on stage. And we ran with that. And then yours came about as we started to flesh out how our two roles played against each other, bringing you into the fold.
I just got an apron, killed people.
Right.
Here's a good idea.
kind of the purpose. Well, more of the repurpose. You helped repurpose.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. And then with the Night Stalker going off to stalk other knights, we let him go and filled the role and allowed him to have complete creative control.
Right.
Because there's no purpose in a horror band to structuralize yourself to, oh, we're only this type of undead. There's no point in that.
Right.
It's not fun.
Yeah, and there was, so when I joined, these guys kind of had a solid story together, so I had to figure out, okay, how do I incorporate myself in there with not it seeming like it kind of flowed, I guess, like where it wasn't, I was just kind of obviously just shoved in there type of thing. So then we came up with the story about, going to Europe, or you guys going to Europe and then finding me, kind of like to find like the elixir of life, basically, to help.
Researching lore to try to figure out how to extend our lives.
Right, and so we kind of came up with the story to kind of work that all in, basically. I think like talking with my wife, like we kind of bounced ideas back and forth. I'm like, well, maybe I should be like a skeleton or something like that. And we tried like different monsters or like movie monsters to do, but that vampire just made the most sense with everything. So that's how my character at least came into be. But
So yeah. It's more or less the building blocks, I think, of how we came before us. What
Right.
sits before you today.
right.
Yeah.
And the Night Stalker moved to California and had other things in life, so it was all on good terms.
So it wasn't, yeah.
Yep.
So I mentioned this to you guys when we were kind of waiting to set up. So we do kind of a part of the show, and since you guys watched, you know what we're about to do. Where we talk about genres of music and favorites.
Sure.
And so we'll throw out a genre. You guys tell us your favorite band in that genre, and we'll go from there. Anthony, you want to pick the genre?
Should we go with synth pop?
Oh
They
my
look
gosh.
like a big synth pop guys. No, I'm
Sure.
just
And I was like, whoa, I don't even know if I can answer
just
that one. Geez.
synth pop and polka are the ones we apparently avoid.
Well, I mean, you do avoid those.
Weird
You,
how
you
you
can you can pick.
I'm already like running through the
I don't want to pick the genres. I
You
have
know
more.
what?
I have more specific music questions based on what they.
So then let's do more specific music
Okay,
questions.
all right. So I have
Let's-
one
yes.
for each of you guys.
Okay,
so
you go.
then, starting with the Deacon, so as a bass player, you said you loved Les Claypool. Do you
Yes.
have a? I was wondering what a favorite album of his,
Ooh.
whether it be with Primus or of Wales and Woe, or is it Oysterhead or something? Is what that would have called when he did a. I think he did an album with maybe the Police drummer.
I don't remember that one. I do
Stuart
remember Colonel Claypool's
Yeah.
Bucket of Bernie Brains. That was
That's
excellent.
I love
Yes.
that. Yes,
Excellent album.
Yep, that's like one of the big, like lesser known super groups. But if you look at everyone individually, it's pretty crazy the
Yes.
long list of.
Extremely unconventional
Yes.
musicians getting together to make one album.
And then for Primus, do you have a specific like a I don't know, a Frizzle Fry or a Brown album or something that you like more than the rest?
Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
Sailing the Seas of Cheese. There you go.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
probably a standout favorite.
Yeah.
Followed very closely by the other two you mentioned.
Yeah. No, they're all very good, and you can kind of hear one and say, oh, that's this Primus album. For the Count, you mentioned AFI, so I have to ask an AFI question. Do you have what's your favorite AFI album?
Well,
Oh, geez.
Here we
my
go.
favorite AFI album. Actually, this is my favorite album
Okay.
ever.
Whoa.
Like out of all albums, my favorite album. It's Sing the Sorrow. Is my ultimate favorite one. It's the one that I discovered the band. I mean, for like a favorite album, I feel like the music's got to be good, everything's got to be good.
Yeah.
Plus, there's like nostalgia, like things like tied in with it. It just hit you at the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
basically. So my favorite album ever is Sing the Sorrow, for sure.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. That was great because they finally had, I think, the budget to do things that they've always wanted to.
Right.
And I loved the things they did before that as well. And,
And like Butch
you
Vig was part of the production of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic album.
that is, it's hard for me to like love what they've done since because I love Sing the Sorrow so much.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beefy, for you, I know you picked you chose the Ramones but is there an album maybe outside of the Ramones that you think is like the best drumming you've ever heard?
Oh wow.
And then I have a follow-up Ramones question, actually. So.
Okay.
Oh jeez. Wow. I actually don't remember most of the albums. I actually don't remember most of the songs. If I heard it, I know it, but put me on the spot here.
or a drummer that you really look up to, or
Also put me on the spot.
yeah. We can come back. We can go to
That's
Oliver.
probably a good idea.
Oh, you want to ask which drummer I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's your favorite drummer?
Enlighten us.
No, I'm not gonna.
Neil Peart.
No.
There's one answer.
Neil Peart's the only answer.
That's the only answer.
The only answer. The only correct answer. Well, I'm going to come back to Beefy, though. And I'm not going to, this shouldn't be a hard one for you, though.
It probably
Because
will be.
No, I think it might not be too bad because I am a huge Ramones fan. Like they are one of my bands. I've seen Rock and Roll High School more times than I'd like to admit. I wanted to be PJ Souls so bad growing up. Consummate Ramones song for you.
Oh jeez.
All right, how about top two?
Top two?
Yep, top two.
Beyond the Brat.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a good one. And I want to be sedated.
Yes. There's something about that song. It comes on, it's just over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic.
So Oliver,
Mhm.
guitarist, top three.
Top 3 guitarists. This is tough.
Since we've already established Neil Peart is the only answer for drummers.
Let's see. Guitarists.
We already know George Thorogood is probably in there. Or is he
Well,
not?
no, he was an influence. I can't say he's like one of the top.
No, I kind of would agree. From a technical aspect,
I'd probably
no.
say Chris Oliva from Sabotage. If you haven't heard of any of his stuff, he pretty much mixed Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, and I forgot the other one, but like classical heavy metal all into one. So I definitely would have to say him. Then I'm probably going to say Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden.
Hell yeah.
I'm a big fan of Iron Maiden as well, but I really got into them, with when Adrian Smith came in, because he brought a different element. I mean, the rest of the guitarists are amazing in that band, but he brought more of kind of like almost like a power metal, brought it a little bit more modern. And then number 1, oh, jeez. No, they're the Wild Stallions. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, what is happening here? I'm like, what just?
Yes.
We just went off here.
It's so tough because I have my favorites, but
Well, it doesn't happen.
probably because he could probably play anything. And unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. It would be Randy Rhoads as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not music related, but I think it's relevant knowing the show that you host and knowing you all are in character. If you guys had to pick, like, you're going to sit down and watch a horror movie, what are you guys going to watch?
Oh boy. Well, there's a lot of things that we got to like catch up on because there's things that you've seen that you want me to see.
Well, you've
and
been
vice
dead for
versa.
hundreds of years.
I know. I've been dead forever. I haven't seen anything
Except
You don't even
Twilight.
except
Yeah,
Twilight.
Twilight.
Best movie.
Sparkly.
I want to be in high school forever.
But just one?
As
Well,
many,
give us- yeah.
as many as you want. It doesn't have to be
Anyone?
anyone.
Evil Dead series. That is my. Oh man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Good choice.
The oatmeal in the first one. That was great. Best special effects ever.
Are you big on the show that they brought back?
Oh,
Is
I
it
love
Ash
the
vs.
show.
the Evil Dead?
I love
think
it.
they did a really
oh
good
my
job
God,
of
they
that.
did great.
Yes,
All
I think
3 seasons.
Like nailed it.
Commentary and
That
everything.
was probably the best thing they've done in a long time.
I wish
Yeah.
I would have done more.
Yeah, but I'm glad that we got what we got.
Oh yeah, no,
How did
definitely.
you guys feel about the remake movie? So the Evil Dead from I don't was it 4
I
or
liked
5
it.
years ago?
Yeah,
I
I
liked
liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I don't know. If you watch the old ones as much as I'm assuming as much as I did, it's not gonna be the same and
Right.
everything like that. But going into that, you kind of know that.
I feel like it was a little bit.
Yeah.
It was taken, or it was supposed to be a little bit more serious. But the whole time I was kind of waiting for Ash,
Right.
and I think maybe it was until after the credits that you heard his voice or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
you know,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. But the way that they did the ending too was
Yeah.
really cool, and you didn't really know who was gonna end up being kind of like the Ash
Right.
of the movie. So that was kind of a cool twist on it, I think. So
The arm. The
Yeah.
arm part of that was that was freaky.
yeah,
Oh man, just hanging off, just
we both
tendon
loved
still
it.
there. It was
Yeah.
great. So much blood.
What Evil Dead movie would you pick, or episode, or anything like that?
I don't know about this.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ask him.
No,
No, that's all right.
I'm taking over.
It's
Yeah, we
fine.
can switch chairs.
We shouldn't have brought up Evil Dead because
Yeah.
now I'm just gonna be asking what's your favorite?
I don't know about the episodes. I mean, I like them all, but
Yeah.
my favorite of the movies, humor-wise, would be Army of Darkness.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I
I
think
mean,
for humor-
that's
Yeah.
overall probably 2.
Two. I
Yeah.
agree. I'd like to watch 2 again right now, actually. So
Can we wrap this
I'm,
up?
I'm,
or?
yeah, I might go watch
Gotta
that.
go.
after this.
We'll be back in like an hour and a
We're
half.
not going to be
Right.
playing.
Yeah.
We're going to go watch Evil
Evil Dead
Dead.
2.
Deacon,
We'll
what
just put it on a screen back here.
Yeah.
It's not really a rebroadcast that way, right?
Right.
I can sing. I can sing and watch it.
There you go.
I would probably say The Thing.
The thing would be good.
One of my favorite movies. It actually scared me, which is how I rate a good horror movie. If I have trouble watching it alone in the dark, it's a good movie.
Old school one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Not the remake.
I keep away
That was
from the
alright.
remakes,
But
too.
yeah, I haven't seen the Evil Dead remake because of exactly that point. 'Cause I knew the whole time I'd be sitting there just, where's Bruce? It
Yeah,
wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But that's The Thing, and then followed closely probably by the Hellraiser series is rather fun,
Okay.
and Wishmaster.
Oh, I
All
haven't.
those,
I haven't
all
seen
of those
that.
are
Okay.
excellent.
Oliver, you must have a wide range of
Yeah.
knowledge when it comes to this. This is kind of your thing.
Yeah.
So, do you have a few that maybe that are your favorites that maybe Caprise and I haven't
Mask
heard
of the Red Death with Vincent Price.
Oh,
Okay.
my.
That'd be a good one.
That's one. Not scary per se, but it's just well done and very good movie. Phantasm series.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. There's so many. Puppet Master. Puppet Master.
Okay.
Not Dark Shadows, the TV show. We don't, or not the movie. Sorry, we don't talk about the movie Dark Shadows, but I love the TV show.
Okay.
The TV show is amazing, which I believe he has Barnabas's ring on right now.
Oh.
So, but yeah, Christine though is my favorite movie of
Okay.
all time.
Oh, I love that movie.
I mean, you have everything. You have a classic car, plays classic music, and it takes care of people you don't get along with. I mean, what else can you ask for? Right?
That's how this friendship works.
Then I guess, like I said, I could go on forever, but I won't. But another one, Prince of Darkness. Alice Cooper was it. Played a little cameo in that one. It was about the googly green thing that was in the basement of a church that they never spoke of and stuff. And that one actually kind of scared me a little bit. Hate to admit that.
So I've not been a huge fan of horror movies from this century, but there are a few that I like. I like the Conjuring movies and that whole, as well as Annabelle, and I haven't seen The Nun yet, but
Oh, you guys.
how those are all kind of intertwined. But is there something from the last 10 to 20 years that you guys really like, something more recent that you think maybe goes overlooked or is just one of your favorites?
I don't know if it goes overlooked, but Insidious,
Okay.
Conjuring, like you were saying.
I'm just sitting here shaking my head this whole time.
Babadook for me. That movie's awesome.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I liked that movie a lot.
That was scary.
Funny side note when I got done watching that. I would love to see the home invader that breaks into that house and gets into the basement. Like, what's in here? It's yours now. Bye-bye.
Babadook.
See you later.
Done.
It's sorry. It was a point of conversation of the movie completely. I'm like, how great would that be?
Right.
Just a whole side movie where it's like a home invasion and starts off like maybe the beginning of an action film, and then it's no, this is that basement.
Right.
That's yours. Come on.
Enjoy.
Maybe the sequel.
That would be a great
Yeah,
sequel.
that would be a good
It'd actually
sequel.
pull off well. Yeah.
We got some letters to write.
And royalties collect.
Butcher, you got one? Beefy?
From this,
Beefy
for like the
Butcher?
last probably 5-10 years. Oh, jeez. I mean, I got so many, I can't really name one off the top of my head. I have a terrible memory.
Did you see Lights Out?
I think it was out, literally out when I was
Wow.
watching that when it
Lights
came
were
on.
actually.
Would
Out.
House of a Thousand Corpses, would that be within?
Absolutely.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
would say that one, even though it totally took from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But yeah,
Mhm.
I'd say that one.
Yes, personally, been browsing the Netflix independent collection,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a movie called The Last Shift.
Yeah.
That got pretty creepy during the day, so it was definitely an A-lister in my book, even though
Okay.
it's like a B.
He's got it.
He's got
Yeah, I
it.
think
got
I
it.
think I got one.
All right, BP, what do you
Alright,
got
got
for
it.
us?
Well, this is like J-pop horror kind of thing. I mean, I wouldn't really call it horror. I mean, if you've seen any Tokyo Shock movies,
Yeah.
I mean, they're all, well, shocking. I mean, not trying to put a pun out there, but there is a meatball machine. I was actually just watching that the other day. It is by far the weirdest thing I have ever seen. But it's
That's
good.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like, just a little
What's the name of it?
meatball machine.
Meatball.
It
Oh,
sounds like it would be.
I know, like,
Not
what?
because I'm a butcher or anything.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do
that's
with
what
it.
I'm making that
Nothing to do
connection.
with it.
No,
Yeah.
there's no connection whatsoever. No, it's like you got these, this scientist creates these little like artificial metal implants, I guess. And when attached to a human, they get like, I guess like they become like augmented by some kind of like weapon or metal. It's so weird. It's really hard to explain, but it's just like,
to watch it and figure it out.
yeah,
kind of
you get to see it like, what I watch, it kind of, what else is big with this guy? Hold on.
Right.
It's good. It's really good.
Speaking of, to Deacon's point, the Netflix, the independent horror. So once in a while, when I really want to torture myself, I'll go down that lane. And there's a movie called
So hit and miss.
During the Day. During the day only, there's a movie called, I think it's called 22 Cameras. It's not violent at all. It's just basically,
I think that was in my ad.
yeah.
Like,
I've seen that scrolling through.
Yeah, it's just all kind of a mind meld kind of thing, and the guy basically watches this couple that rents from him, and some things happen along the way. I won't spoil it. That scared the bejesus out of me because it was a real life kind of thing. So,
kind of like Vacancy, or but a little more.
ooh, it was like this. You could read about it in the paper, kind of
okay.
thing. Like
Those are the
there
ones that are
was
scary.
there was no fantasy involved at all. This was like you will read about it in the Wisconsin State Journal
Almost
tomorrow.
like urban horror.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I watched it in the afternoon. I remember just like, made my dog sleep with me for a week. So, well, you guys, this has been fantastic. We really appreciate you guys coming on and
Well, thanks
chatting.
for having us.
And the wonderful thing for us is you are going to come back and perform, so we get to see what you're talking about. And you have a special guest that you're bringing along, I heard.
Yeah, Alice will be with us.
So-
If I didn't, she'd be really mad.
So I'll be in the control room during that time. I've been Caprise hanging out with Froni and the wonderful gentleman from Fiendish Phantoms. Please come back in a few minutes. They're going to perform for us. We will see you later. Bye.
Good evening. You are watching the Transistor show. We are the Fiendish Phantoms, and we will start off with Through the Graveyard. I'm gonna tell her a story about the other night. We were headed out of town when we had quite the fright. We're going past the graveyard with the full moon around midnight. Saw something strange from afar, surrounded by ghosts to the left and right. I was truly scared. They took me captive for many nights. Rotten flesh, decayed hair. Never thought again I'd see daylight. I hopped in that Cadillac hearse, grabbed the gear shift and set it in the drive. Mashed my foot down as far as we would go. Through the graveyard we did go. Thought I'd escaped that day. I thought I was on the go. But while upon my way, the ghost followed me back home. Back home. Back home. Back home. Live the rest of my life with the cold feel like a knife. Never knew what would happen back then. Way back when. Back when. Back when. Back when. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This next song, as Jamie is tuning up, I'm going to introduce it a little bit. This is an older song off the first album, which was released in 2017, I believe back in June. This one will be Phantom Machine, which is about a classic car. The mad scientist knows more about cars than I do. We will be playing that one, and then we will debut a brand new song after that, but we'll leave that one a little bit of a surprise until we get to that point. We're good? All right. Phantom Machine. Down the street, it's a dark night. No driver behind the wheel, just a stand light. There is cold now, cars are running clean. It slowly passes by, it is Phantom Machine. on the street, but you'll never see just two eyes of light, so I'll ever be. Such machine, burning natural green, 5,000 pounds of cardboard and stuff, burning nothing, burning clean. The producers are chewing, they scream. Dark satin and velvet cloth, dressed in black and dressed in green. There is gold now, cause they're running mean. It slowly passes by in a stamping machine. Excellent, excellent. This next song is a brand new song, and it is called Arise. Are we ready? We think so. That's right. You do start this in a spooky way. We are just normal guys. Brand new song. Brand new song. Exclusive. On the Transistor Show. I just repeat the things you are saying. Oceans of time to only find a human life fleeting, so brief. Now traveler, capture thief, you are dust and I the shadow, thus must pass. Alone trial, for you will seek an endless life, witnessed with me, with me. Above toys for you. Okay, this next song is Supernatural. Standing out there by the water's edge, when I saw the ghost, James Dean. Turned for a second glance, next thing you know he was gone. Was the strangest thing I've ever seen now. There's some things out there that you just can't explain. Some things out there are supernatural. Some things out there that I was shot to show you. Some things out there that are unexplainable. Walking down Hollywood Boulevard, trying to see a strange sight. Thought I saw Melville Road to my right. Turned for a second glance, much to my own fright. Was the strangest thing I've seen all night. There's some things out there that you just can't explain. Some things out there that are supernatural. Standing out there in Germany, thought I saw a fallen soldier down on his knee, offering a helping hand. Next thing you know, he was gone. Was the strangest thing I've ever seen now. There's some things out there that you just can't explain. Some things out there that are supernatural. Some things out there that I was shocked to show you. Some things out there that are unexplainable. Thanks again. We are the Fiendish Phantoms. Good night.